So Caitlin Clark's injury is something that is going to massively affect the WNBA. It's going to massively affect the...
Caitlin Clark's injury just sent shockwaves through the WNBA. It goes beyond simply missing games, too. Due to the possibility that this 2-week absence may cost them millions in future contract discussions, players throughout the league are allegedly in a panic. The financial ramifications are astounding, and the timing couldn't be worse. This has the potential to drastically alter women's basketball wages. What effect do you believe Caitlin Clark's injury will have on the WNBA's upcoming CBA? If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video.
Obviously, look, there's going to be financial impact in the teams for 2 weeks, but the long-term financial impact of his injury might actually be scary.
Let me explain why Caitlin Clark's quad injury is causing WNBA players to lose sleep. It goes beyond simply missing a few games. This has to deal with the possibility of losing millions of dollars in rapidly approaching contract discussions. For athletes who are hoping for huge pay raises, the timing of this injury couldn't be worse. Here's the circumstance that has everyone in panic mode. Caitlin Clark will be sidelined for about 2 weeks due to a quad strain. Since the WNBA isn't a typical league and Caitlin Clark isn't a typical player, losing one player for 2 weeks wouldn't be disastrous in any other league. Everyone is aware that she is essentially this league's financial engine. The Washington Mystics' impending game versus the Indiana Fever caused the first significant issue right away. Like every other team in the league, they moved this game from its original location to a larger arena because they thought Caitlin Clark would sell out. They anticipated huge numbers, so they invested money on promotion, a new location, and more employees.
Minneapolis or one of these visiting cities, paying all this money, paying up for tickets, and at the end of the day, deciding to not go, all right? Calling the whole trip off.
Caitlin Clark isn't playing anymore, though. And you know what transpired? Overnight, ticket costs were cut in half. There are no sales and entire areas of the arena remain unoccupied. Instead of watching the Indiana Fever struggle without their star player, many purchased tickets to see Caitlin Clark. WNBA executives are finally being forced to face this hard reality. Here, the analogy to Major League Soccer's Lionel Messi is spot on. Fans go crazy when Messi isn't playing for Inter Miami. They want compensation, rebates, or anything else to compensate them for paying more to see the one player who truly matters. When Messi doesn't play, MLS teams have started giving out free tickets to subsequent games, free concessions, and other benefits because they understand that supporters feel taken advantage of. Here's the important distinction, though. MLS freely admits that Messi transcends their league. They don't act as though football developed naturally in the United States. They admit that Messi is the draw, and they've designed their business plan around that reality. The WNBA, on the other hand, has been living in utter denial regarding Caitlin Clark's impact.
In a split instance, all of it can change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
WNBA executives have spent the last 2 years trying to convince everyone that the league's rise is organic and sustainable. They've pushed storylines about how women's basketball is finally getting the recognition it deserves, how all players are contributing to this progress, and how the league has turned a corner financially. However, Caitlin Clark's injuries will soon reveal all of it to be utterly absurd. Everyone involved will receive a harsh reality check over the course of the next 2 weeks. We'll see exactly what WNBA attendance and viewership look like when Caitlin Clark isn't playing. Additionally, those figures will be appalling based on past data. We are discussing games that may not even reach 200,000 television viewers. This leads us to the WNBA players' actual panic. The forthcoming discussions for a collective bargaining agreement. Players have been getting ready to demand a plethora of costly benefits, including more pay, charter flights, greater housing allowances, child care assistance, and larger rosters. They intend to justify these demands by pointing to the league's recent expansion. However, what happens if team owners can say, "Look, nobody watches our games without Caitlin Clark," pointing to the upcoming 2 weeks? We saw an 80% decline in attendance. Our TV ratings plummet. Given that our entire business rests on a single player who could sustain an injury at any time, how precisely are we going to pay you millions of dollars? Players are currently freaking out over that horrible situation. In these negotiations, they relied on leverage. They thought they could point to sold-out venues, record television ratings, and increasing item sales as proof that they earned large pay raises. However, their leverage totally vanishes if the next 2 weeks demonstrate that Caitlin Clark was the only reason for all of that success. Let's be frank about what the viewership data will reveal. Games frequently get between 1.5 and 2 million spectators when Caitlin Clark performs. The numbers decrease to perhaps 400,000 viewers on a good day when she doesn't play, and we're talking about games with other well-known players. That isn't sustainable. Expansion. One player is carrying the weight of an entire league on her shoulders. Even more damaging are the attendance figures. 17,000-seat venues are sold out for Indiana Fever games. Other WNBA games struggle to fill venues with 8,000 seats. When Caitlin Clark visits competing cities, ticket prices increase and arenas that ordinarily have vacant sections are suddenly full. You're back to shamefully low attendance numbers if you take her out of the picture. For players who were hoping to bargain from a position of strength, this presents a huge challenge. When your league relies solely on one individual, how can you expect million-dollar salaries? When eliminating one player results in a 70% reduction in revenue, how do you justify charter flights and opulent lodging? According to the smart money, team owners are privately hoping that attendance and ratings will suffer during these 2 weeks. They want hard evidence that the league's recent success is solely due to Caitlin Clark. This provides them with all the tools they need to negotiate contracts with low salary and inadequate benefits. Think about it from a business standpoint. Are you going to commit to paying every player like superstars if you're a team owner and you know that your whole revenue stream rests on one player who could get hurt, retire, or leave at any time? Not, of course. Until you can find other sources of income, you will safeguard your investment and minimize expenses. Sustainability is the other main concern. What happens when Caitlin Clark eventually retires, even if WNBA players receive the pay raises they desire? What would happen if she sustained an injury that would stop her career? Teams would be forced to pay exorbitant wages they cannot afford, and the league's entire financial system will implode. For this reason, some observers argue that WNBA players ought to genuinely wish for Caitlin Clark to continue being healthy and productive for as long as can. Their financial future is intimately correlated with her performance. Everyone else's earning potential is lost if she flames out, sustains repeated injuries, or chooses to play elsewhere. This is where things start to become very interesting, though. In negotiations, players could contend that because the league depends so much on one player, they should be paid more. They can argue that investing in other players and developing other stars is even more crucial given the possibility of losing Caitlin Clark. However, since it acknowledges that the current growth is unsustainable, that is a dangerous argument. In actuality, aside from Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has relatively few genuine draws. Although Paige Beckers is quite popular, her audience is perhaps only half that of Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is not so much a basketball attraction as she is a celebrity. Rather than her on-court performance, they are more interested in her drama and social media presence. Despite their skill, players like Sabrina, Brianna Stewart, and A.A. Wilson don't have a significant impact on ticket sales or television ratings. Even if the Seattle Storm, Las Vegas Aces, and New York Liberty have fantastic seasons, they won't be able to fill stadiums or get sizable television audiences without Caitlin Clark. Team owners have even more negotiating power when it comes to contracts because of this lack of star power. They can argue that since the majority of players don't make a substantial contribution to the league's income growth, there is no reason for them to receive enormous pay rises. Although it's brutal, professional sports are a business. Because it occurs just before the most significant contract discussions in WNBA history, the timing of this injury is especially cruel. The players intended to utilize their success this season as their main justification for increased pay. However, that reasoning utterly collapses if the next 2 weeks show that one player was solely responsible for the success. The psychological effects must also be taken into account. WNBA players have been enjoying the league's recent success, believing that they are at last receiving the attention and acknowledgement they are due. However, it's a depressing reminder of how rapidly everything may collapse when one player is hurt. It serves as a reminder that they may not have as much negotiating power as they believed. The financial realities of WNBA teams are another aspect that players must take into account. The majority of franchisees have only lately begun to turn a profit after years of losing money, due to a rise in interest. However, club owners will be extremely wary of making long-term financial commitments if that interest is only predicated on Caitlin Clark. From a strategic perspective, team owners may ultimately gain from this injury. It pushes everyone to face the unsettling reality of the league's financial structure and provides them with hard statistics to use in discussions. They may contend that they are unable to pay players like superstars until the WNBA produces a number of real stars. The future of WNBA wages will be decided in the next 2 weeks. Players may still have some negotiating power if games sans Caitlin Clark receive respectable attendance and ratings. However, athletes will be in a very bad position when contract negotiations start if the numbers decline, as most experts anticipate. The fact that Caitlin Clark herself isn't earning nearly what the league values her makes the matter even more complicated. She is paid a small portion of what male athletes with comparable effect make under her rookie deal. However, other players have benefited from her fame without necessarily contributing to it due to the wage structure. Caitlin Clark's injury may actually harm other players' earning potential more than it harms her own, creating an intriguing dynamic. Although her contract is already in place, other players relied on the league's expansion to support their wage demands. Their negotiating position deteriorates significantly if that growth is not sustainable. This begs the more general question of whether the WNBA can ever develop into a multi-star league that is truly stable, or if it will always rely on one exceptional player to run the whole thing. The latter appears to be the case at the moment, which makes long-term financial planning extremely challenging for both players and team owners. This injury is the culmination of their worst dread at the worst possible moment for WNBA players. They were on the verge of landing contracts that could change their lives, and now they had to deal with the thought that their leverage has completely vanished. The next 2 weeks will define whether they're bargaining from a position of strength or weakness, and early evidence suggests it's going to be the latter. At the worst possible moment, Caitlin Clark's injury revealed the WNBA's greatest vulnerability. Players may have to accept far less than the millions they were hoping for in their next contracts. The financial future of women's basketball will be decided in the next 2 weeks. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.